never had a performance that I've walked away from and said, okay, that I'm good with that one. You know, I'm always critiquing myself and I'm always trying to get better. Whether it's actually in the fight, if it's before the fight, if it's during camp, there's always something that I'm trying to take away and get better at. And I think that's what world champions do, you know. They're happy with their wins and they enjoy their wins because that's the only thing that matters. But we always have to improve. We always have to get better because somebody else is getting better.
Was that the motivation, I guess, behind a change in camp? Is that line of thinking?
Yes and no. I knew I needed to make a change, not so much because of the training aspect, but just because of my mental state. Like, I'd been at Glory with James for 8 years. I moved there when I was 20, you know, and I've lived there. I've seen the same people, the same training partners, the same building, the same weather. And you do that for long enough, it's just going to kind of burn you out. And I think that I was kind of ignoring it for a long time. You know, I would go through waves of not really wanting to do this, like not this, but like go to training and then go back. I would go through waves like that, and it kind of went away and then came back and then went away. And so I thought it was kind of just normal. But then when I had that bad performance against Ricky in the third round, I think it kind of showed that I needed to make changes. I'm known as the cardio guy. Like I'm the guy that pushes a really hard pace. If you watch any of my other fights, I'm the guy that's always pushing the pace super hard. I've always had a really good third round. And in this fight, that was the round that I took off. I got tired in, and I didn't quit in a way, but like I accepted a bad position to try to stall out, and that's not what I do. So I knew I needed to make the changes. I believe I've made the right changes. I've been with ATT for 2 months now, and I got to tell you that it is one of the best gyms in the world, and there's a reason why they have 22 world champions throughout the organization. So I'm going to be one of them.
That's awesome. I guess what does it feel like, right? Because going to a camp like that, right? Like I don't want to say you're just a guy, but you kind of are, especially when you're the new guy, right? I mean, is it a difficult thing to go in there and be like, I'm the new guy? Kind of feel like you almost have to prove your worth to be there, or do you feel like, no, I don't have to prove my worth? I absolutely belong to be here.
Yeah, I definitely was going into it thinking there are so many high-level guys here. There's so many people that are just so good, and in every single weight class, like I'm gonna have to really grind and work my way to get noticed by these coaches. And honestly, I was completely wrong. I went in, I was there for a week, and Coach Alves and Mike Brown took me under their wing, pad sessions twice a week, wrestling sessions twice a week. You know, they really welcomed me in, made me feel at home. And they're doing it for my fiance too, who trains with us, and one of my best friends, Cameron Cash, who also moved up with us and trained with us. So they're taking really, really good care of all of us, and I don't think they realize how much that means to me, because I've heard the stories, I've heard the naysayers and people talking about how if you go to this gym, you're not going to get any work because you're just a body. At least for me, it was completely false. I showed up. All the coaches want to work with me. All the coaches, looked up my guy. All the coaches came up with game plans for me, and it was very, very well run and very, very welcoming for me, at least.
That's awesome. So in hearing you speak, it feels like you're kind of re-energized, which is crazy because you're still a young guy, right? You know what I mean? It's not like you're an old, burned out guy, but does it feel like, I don't know, you're re-energized? This is some like new phase of your career?
Yeah, I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. Now, I haven't been training at the level that I'm training at now, but I have known I wanted to be a world champion since I was 15. I've been working towards that goal for so many years, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like I train every day with the guys that I grew up watching fight. You know, one of my favorite fighters growing up was Thiago Alves, and so I get to do pads with Thiago Alves, one of my favorite fighters when I was a kid, twice a week, and my last pad session with him, I kind of had to like stop in the middle and just kind of be grateful for what I have, It's truly an amazing sport, and I think it's unique to our sport at the high level. It's like, in baseball and football, you get traded and stuff like that, and you really don't have a whole lot of control of where you go. I can go wherever I want to go. I can train wherever I want to train, I just got to run it by the missus first. So that's really cool about our sport. I'm training with some of the best guys in the world, if not the best guys in the world, and I cannot wait to show how much better I've gotten.
Is it kind of cool to be on a card with Andrei Arlovski then?
Yeah, I like Andrei. He's scary. He kind of scares me a little bit. But, yeah, I got him and my buddy Jotko. We're all on the card, so ATT Army is about to take over this card.
I love it. All right, talk about the matchup itself, Jared. What does he present? What do you think about the matchup?
He's very good. He's very good, and I think he's the most well-rounded fighter that I've fought. He's got very good cardio. He's got very good striking, very good wrestling, and he gets up really, really well. He is an A-plus fighter. Be strength of schedule. That could be else matters except Jared.
Last thing for me, I guess the goal of this fight, I mean, obviously the goal is to win, but I don't know. Is it like, do you feel like maybe you need to prove some doubters wrong who saw that last third round and maybe said, oh, he's not the guy we thought he was, or prove something to yourself? What's the goal here?
Absolutely, man. Like I said before, I'm known as the cardio guy, and I had a really, really bad third round. And it's one of those things that I have to prove to myself that I can push. Because remember, I want to be a world champion. And if I want to be a world champion, that means that I'm going to have to be able to fight for 25 minutes against the best guys in the world. I had a bad round. I won the first two, lost the third. It is what it is. I've learned my lesson. I've moved on. I'm going to show that I can push a pace.
Congrats on the, building the move. A lot of guys are hesitant to do that and might not even want to disclose it because it's kind of, real personal. But you could elaborate how, satisfying was it when you were talking to the missus and said, you know what, this is where we belong. We should have even done it sooner coming to ATT.
Yeah, it was great. I don't know about sooner. I don't believe that everything happens for a reason, but I do believe you can make the best out of anything that happens. And what happened the way it happened and can't happen any other way. So I think we got there at the right time. I think we are at ATT when ATT is at its best. They've got the best amount of guys. I've not run into anybody who wants to hurt me in training. I've not run into anybody that wants to, walk over me or views me as competition. With how big the team is, you still have that feeling of this is a team. We're a team. I hope you win. You hope I win. Let's train together and get better. So I think we're there at the right time, and I think everything kind of fell into place the way it needed to.
Oh, that's perfect. Just trusting the process, part of the journey. And just for fun, what's your favorite Thiago Alves fight or knockout?
My favorite fight of Thiago Alves is probably when he fought Matt Hughes. He hit him with that switch flying knee. And I was actually telling Thiago Moises earlier today, when I was a kid, we watched that, or I watched that with some buddies, and he's like walking away from Matt after he knocked him out, and he just looked humongous, just massive. And he was actually my screensaver on my little Razr phone when I was a kid, because I was like, I want to be as big as him someday. I'm not, but I train with him, so that's cool too.
That's a great bar to set, and that was back in the day. That was like Bedlam, so that pay-per-view wasn't even in the regular time. It was like you have to watch it real early, so that's a fan right there.
Yeah, for sure. He was one of the guys that I wanted to watch. I thought he was going to beat GSP when I was a kid. I thought he was the guy to do it. He didn't end up getting it done, but, man, he put up a hell of a fight. So I'm super happy to be working with him, and it's really a dream come true. It's like if football's your thing, playing catch with Patrick Mahomes or Brett Favre or whoever it is. So that's really cool for me.
That's good stuff, man. Thank you for that, and good luck on Saturday.
I appreciate it. Don't tell my opponent that, though.
The 4 losses on Gordon's record are all by KO/TKO. Is that something you look to potentially exploit?
Absolutely not. I'm going to go out there and take 1,500 shots and hope one of them sticks and hold him down or beat him up until he quits or I get a submission.
After your last victory, you mentioned one of your best traits as a fighter is how coherent you are in there in terms of you hear everything, you hear your coaches, you remember everything. What do you attribute that quality to?
Probably just how long I've been doing this and how obsessed I am with the sport. I think every kid, everybody kind of talks to themselves like in the car, like if they were famous and what they're doing, like whether it's football's your dream or whatever your dream is. I've thought about this sport and I've imagined myself in this sport and I've worked hard in this sport every single day since I found out what it was. When I saw Rampage Jackson and Rashad Evans fight for the first time, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I've been completely obsessed with the sport. And so it's kind of one of those things where I think it's natural to me. I grew up doing it. I grew up competing in it. So it's like breathing to me. It's normal for me. At least that's what I would attribute it to.
Thank you.
Good. I got a question for you guys. Who gets to decide who goes first and who gets to ask the questions first? No, I'm serious. Is there like an order? Is it like is there like, do you guys fight each other for it?
It's just me, bro.
You just decide? You say, I'm going first, and then you can go, then you can go?
It's 15 years in the game. You got to get something, you know
There
what I
you
mean?
go.
So they're like, let the old man, he's been doing this so long, like, let him start it.
All right. I was hoping you guys say there's like a battle royale in the back, and y'all just fight each other, and then whoever wins gets to go first.
Maybe like a drinking contest would probably be more accurate. Like, I'm the last one standing, so you get to be the first one asking.
That makes sense. Thank you, guys.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2, check.
Anderson, a great fight in your UFC debut, but of course didn't get the result that you wanted. So I'm just curious, how you felt after that UFC debut.
Você fez uma grande luta na sua estreia, mas obviamente não foi o resultado que você queria. Como é que você se sente após essa apresentação?
Não foi a estreia que eu... Primeiramente, um bom dia para todos vocês. Continuando, não foi a estreia que eu planejei, como todos vocês acompanham a carreira do MMA. Eu sou um cara que eu sempre parto para o ataque, estou sempre buscando acabar a luta o mais rápido possível, mas eu realmente me sinto muito bem, eu estou mais preparado, bem mais treinado e preparado psicologicamente, que vai ser fundamental para essa próxima luta.
First of all, good morning for everybody. And as you guys know, it was not the debut that I was planning, but I'm always looking for knockouts and submissions. I was not able to do it, but for this fight, I'm 100% confident I'm going to be better. I'm way more prepared for this fight.
You got to fight again just 3 months later. That's a pretty quick turnaround. Was it important for you to get a second opportunity very quickly?
Você vai lutar de novo com 3 meses de intervalo, né? É importante para você fazer um retorno tão rápido assim?
Com certeza, eu acredito que eu estou preparado para lutar todo mês. Eu sou um cara novo, estou querendo lutar, estou sempre buscando isso, novos contratos. Então isso é fundamental, estar sempre lutando. Não importa para mim se é de 2 em 2 meses, se é em 3 em 3 meses, eu estou sempre querendo lutar. Eu amo o que eu faço.
Absolutely, I love my job. To be honest, I'm ready to fight every single month if it's possible. I don't care if it's in 2 or 3 months. I'm always ready to fight, and that's it.
What did you think when they gave you the name Andrei Fili? Was it somebody you were familiar with? Was it an exciting opponent? What were your thoughts?
O que você acha do jogo do André Fili? É um cara que está familiarizado? O que você acha dele como lutador?
Como lutador, eu acho que é um lutador extremamente bom, é um cara experiente. Antes de eu lutar, quando eu morava já lá no Laranjal do Jari, lá no norte do Brasil, ali, eu já acompanhava ele. Então é um cara aí veterano, é um cara que tem que ter máximo respeito, mas eu estou chegando agora. E eu estou com muita sede de vitória.
He's an amazing fighter. Even before I did start fighting, I used to follow him. So I know he's great. But now it's my time, I'm young, and I'm ready to put the show that I want to do it.
I wonder, when you get a name like that that's a veteran, is it a little bit intimidating at all? I mean, you're still very new in the UFC. Is it intimidating to fight somebody that's been around that long, or is it exciting to not have to face somebody that's just like in their first or second fight?
Está apenas começando sua caminhada no UFC. É um pouco intimidador o fato de você enfrentar um cara tão experiente quanto ele, ou te dá mais motivação por não enfrentar um cara que está começando assim como você?
Não. É um cara que tem bastante nome ali no cenário, ainda mais na categoria dos peso-pena. Mas, como eu falei, é quando a pessoa chega aqui no UFC, que é um padrão totalmente diferente de todas as organizações, ele tem que estar com essa cabeça, mentalidade que ele vai encontrar os caras mais duros que existe.
He has a great name, and for me, I like that. Like I used to say, when you get in the UFC, you got to be ready for everything. Doesn't matter. You got to be ready to fight anybody they ask you to do it. So I'm here for that.
Last thing for me, obviously you want to pick up a win here, get your first UFC win, but is it important that you do it in spectacular fashion, the knockout, the submission that you're always looking for, or is it more important like you just get a win no matter how it happens?
A última pergunta dele, é claro que você quer uma vitória, mas é importante para você vencer de uma forma espetacular, conseguir uma grande vitória, ou nesse ponto, nesse momento, o importante é vencer, não importa como?
Eu pretendo vencer, não importa como. Esse é meu totalmente objetivo para essa luta, é vencer, não importa como. Mas eu tenho muitos planos na minha cabeça, eu tenho muitos planos ainda a conquistar dentro da organização.
For this fight, I gotta win, doesn't matter how. That's my plan. But in the future, I have a lot of plans, a lot of ideas, but for this fight, I gotta win.
Your last loss was in 2015. You responded to that loss by getting a first-round knockout. So, given the fact you're coming off of a loss now, do you sort of look back at that last loss and how you rebounded and hope to do the same?
A sua última derrota antes de entrar no UFC tinha sido em 2015 e na sequência você nocauteou, venceu por nocaute. Agora que você vem de uma derrota, você planeja fazer o mesmo? Isso é uma motivação para fazer o mesmo?
Eu acredito que sim. Eu tenho bastante nocaute, bastante finalizações, são poucas lutas, eu acho que ficam na mão dos jurados, eu acho que eu tenho uma ou duas lutas que ficaram na mão dos jurados, e eu pretendo fazer a mesma coisa dentro do UFC, para mim a minha mentalidade não mudou nada, eu sou um cara que vou sempre buscar o combate, a minha cabeça é essa, eu vou fazer isso até o fim da minha carreira.
Yeah, that's my plan. And if you check my record, you're going to see that most of my fights are knockouts or submissions. I don't let a lot of fights go to the judges' hands. So that's definitely my plan. And I have a lot of things to do in the UFC. Keep your eyes on me.
Okay.
For how this fight's going to go if a certain opportunity presents itself?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a good striking, fight. But it's kind of the same thing. If he starts throwing these lazy kicks, I know he's gotten into the teep kicks, and it's lazy. I'm putting him on his back, and you guys see what I can do once I get somebody when I'm on top of somebody. So that's what I'm going for the kill. I'm not trying to ride this out for 3 rounds. I'm trying to get in there and get out and get paid. With the least amount of damage inflicted on myself.
And I guess it's probably safe to say, but I mean, you fought at middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. Safe to say that heavyweight's the home now going forward? Or could
Yeah,
that change?
definitely for me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jared, obviously a pretty fantastic 2021 for you, right? 3-0. I guess just what's the feel having a run like that?
It feels great. First 3-fight win streak in the UFC. You know, I'm on top of the world with that, and I want to keep that train going.
Like you said, the longest you've had so far. Is there something you can point to? I mean, I know the fight game's tough. Results just happen sometimes. But is there anything you can point to and say, like, that's the key? That was my success?
You know, just after the most recent loss, just taking the time to, like, kind of relax, decompress, let my body heal, and really look inward and just kind of focus on myself and drown out all the noise. You know what I mean? Get back to working and not worrying about anything else but being the best that I can be.
What was kind of the distractions? You mean like there's like social media and stuff like that, or life things, or?
Yeah, nothing in particular. And like I never really pay that much attention to like social media or like let it affect me in any way, but just maybe overanalyzing or thinking too much about matchups or who's fighting who or where the division is like, because really none of that matters. All that matters is that I'm prepared and that I win my fights. All that other stuff, for me personally, means absolutely nothing.
Fair enough. Your preparation, speaking of, was this kind of a nomadic training camp for you? Or I was just looking through your social media. It looked like you were at Fusion XL and then you were at Valley Flow. Were those just like weekends or were you moving around?
Yeah, I would say nomadic, but like my main body of work is still done at Rufus Sport. But, you know, we just don't have quite as many big guys anymore. So, like, you know, I'll go to Fusion for a little bit, get some work in there, you know, kind of at the beginning of the camp. I went down and, like, I got help too out of it, obviously, but I went down and helped Bilal get ready for his fight. And, you know, it's always good working with him. But, you know, though it's like, especially when I go to Valley Flow, it's like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 days during that week, and then I'm still doing, like, the bulk of my training at Rufus Sport. But it's just good to get different looks, different bodies, you know what I mean? I've been at Rufus Sport for a long, long time. The technique in which you get there is second to none, but, you know, you still got to stress test that against different people.
Nice. Match up with Jotko, another guy that's been around for a long time, maybe kind of underrated in his durability, that sort of thing. I mean, what do you think about him overall as an opponent?
He's tough. He's a good opponent. He likes to stay on the outside. He likes to strike. He mixes his takedowns very well, and we'll use that wrestling to kind of cook the clock and score points. But, you know, when he does throw, I'll give it to, like, for a guy that stays on the outside, when he does throw, he'll throw with reckless abandon. Like, it's not like he's just playing the jab game. Like, he's swinging, does a lot of check hooks. He'll throw a lot of, like, hook cross and, you know, really try to take you out. But then he'll, like I said, he's on his bike again moving. So, you know, it's a good and different stylistic matchup. I go forward. He hops in and out and goes backward. So, you know, we'll see who's more stubborn with their game plan.
I love it. Do you think he's going to want to try to take you down? Do you think he's going to be willing to engage and grapple?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think that he's necessarily going to be looking to get into a jiu-jitsu match, right? But you know, especially when guys are like, he's not going to take me down, that's exactly when you're going to get taken down. They're going to be like, yeah, for sure I'm going to double leg you now just to prove a point. So it would not surprise me at all if he shot in a couple times.
Nice. Last thing for me, you win here, like you said, 4 straight. I know you just said you don't really worry about, you know, the things, but do you start calling, I mean, 4 straight, do you start trying to call some shots and create some matchups, or?
No, get me on the Sean O'Malley plan. I want the worst guys possible for the most money. That's what I'm here for, to make a living. Once I'm ready to get the title shot, then we can talk about that. Until then, I want all scrubs.
Welcome back. Good to see you again, man. I always appreciate the vibe to the point. You mentioned before when we talked, you had like a gym going or trying to open up. How's that coming?
No progress at the gym so far. You know, right now, first and foremost, my job is being a UFC fighter. So, you know, you can't take away from this game because it'll show in a very real and public way if you do. And I just haven't had much of a time to, you know, I've gotten little things done, kind of working up to it, but I haven't had the appropriate amount of time to set everything up to where, you know, I can step away for a training camp if I need to. So before I was, you know, really excited about it, I was hoping to get it started soon. I'd still like to get it started soon, but, you know, it's going to take as long as it takes. And when it is all said and done, I'll kind of wait to, like, say anything more about it until I for sure am ready to get it going. But, you know, I don't want to half-ass anything. So I'll give it its proper time.
Sounds good, man. And the fight this weekend, you guys open up the main card. Does that give you a little extra oomph? Like, okay, I'm getting the show started for everybody tuning in now. It has to feel good.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool to say too, and it's, you know, it's just nice to be a main card fighter. But really what I like is that this is an earlier card because I'm on the dad schedule now. So I'm all about fighting at 4 o'clock because, come these pay-per-view times, I'm going to have to like change my whole schedule because I'm usually in bed by 7 o'clock. So I'm thankful it's still early.
Excellent, man. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
You spoke to the gym that you'll eventually open, and you've also mentioned in the past the coaching role you help out with at Rufus Sport. Just wondering what coaching does for you as a fighter and what benefits you take from that.
I like it a lot. I just like coaching in general, but it definitely helps me as a fighter because I have to explain not just what I do, but why you would do anything and like what the reason behind it is. And it's something like it inherently, but until you explain it to someone, you're like, oh yeah, that is why I do that. Or you have to question something yourself and maybe get a different perspective, like, why is that the right thing to do? And then you can, work through that problem, and it gives you and the athlete you're helping a lot more insight into the game.
Do you think that parallels with the musical background and the instruction of music as well?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. As I originally thought I was going to be a music teacher, so teaching was always there. I just didn't know it was going to be fist fighting instead of, playing instruments.
Thank you.
Gerald, Jim Greasehopper, what's happening, man?
What's up, man?
A lot of fights. I'm always curious with fighters. Some fighters don't make it that far in their career. It's more like mileage than years, right? Or fights. What are some things you do to keep your body in shape, or mental edge that you give yourself that you can fight this many fights? You're only 34 still, and keep that body ready to, like you said, make the most amount of money you can.
For me, it's a cool thing to say it like a party trick almost, like, oh, I got all these fights, but I never really think about it because it's all I know. You know what I mean? So I have no idea what it would be like to have like less than 10 fights and be in the UFC. Like, to me, that sounds nuts. You know what I'm saying? But especially now, I got a pretty good, pretty frequent schedule even for the UFC, but I had a lot of fights in my first few years of fighting. I think in like the first 2 years, I had knocked out more than 10 fights. Something close to that, right? So for me, it's like, as you get older, maybe slow down a little bit and just make sure you're recovering properly. Staying, keeping your body put together definitely helps. But, part of it too is I've just been fortunate, and, I try to fight smart and be as much of a tactician and use as much technique as I can, so I'm not, using my athleticism and just destroying my body.
And you look at a guy like Andrei Arlovski and a number of fights he has, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of guys gathering around the TV watching him try to tie that wins record. Is that something you're a fan of his? Does it mean anything to you to be a part of a card that could be part of history like that?
Man, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but no, I'm definitely a fan of Andrei Arlovski, and like any of those older school guys, right, or guys that have a lot of fights. I'm more in that boat, so I like watching those guys like that, and it's, it seems like there's two different camps, right? There's either guys that got a lot of fights or guys that came in pretty young and fresh, and if you can have a fast meteoric rise, as long as you can get to where you need to make a lot of money, that's one thing, but unless you get that belt or get really close, the only way to make money in this game is to stick around for a while. So if that's what I got to do, that's what I got to do.
And you don't have any names on that worst guy possible list for the most money?
No, I got no idea. Usually I'm the one that's on the list that people are picking. So I've never got to like actually, they're pretty much like, do you want to fight this guy, yes or no? Which, hey, that's fine. That's what I signed up for. But yeah, let me get somebody like fresh off the Contender Series or something.
So you got to get used to the other side now with all those wins.
Yeah, that would be a nice change of pace, wouldn't it?
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
So, man, when the phone rings, do you even ask the name or who it's going to be against, or do you just automatically say, you know, when do you need me there?
Thanks God I got that ring call, so I'm good.
Do you bother looking at tape on guys at this point in your career? I mean, you've seen everything. Do you?
Of course. I watch fights with my coaches. My coaches study him, of course. They create game plan for me, and hope.
That's not a good matchup for me. I'm not taking that fight.
No, I never pick any opponents, and I'm asked to reschedule or like say no.
But for you, never.
No.
You mentioned 6 weeks to get ready. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Like, I wonder, like, staying busy is good, but...
Stay busy for me is great. Not good, it's great. Because I'm disciplined, I'm following my game plan, I mean, for the life, because, like, I understand that I still have, like, few years, not too few, maybe 3, 4, and just I need to achieve my goals and just stay busy, be disciplined, like, do everything right.
Is it challenging, I guess, physically? I mean, obviously, you know, we're not young guys. Is it challenging physically for you at all?
No. I mean, like I said, like I choose what's more important for me. I'm not. I forgot when I last time went out like late, you know, and the hardest part, no alcohol, but otherwise I'm okay.
What about the time away from family that you have to take? Is that difficult?
That's tough. Yeah, that's tough. No doubt about it. That's why I decided between workouts in the camp to come home, drive my oldest one to baseball practice, spend some time with little one, and get back to rental apartment.
Nice. All right, so Jake Collier, he admits he grew up watching you fight. When you hear guys say that, I grew up watching, is it respect or do you go like, I wish they wouldn't say that?
I don't care. Listen, I have nothing personal. I told before it's a business. You know, he's gonna be against me on Saturday night in Octagon. So I have to do everything possible to beat him. Like I said, it's nothing personal. It's a business.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive the run you're on right now. I wonder, you know, back in like 2016, 17, 18, you know, people were like, Andrei, he needs to hang it up. He's done.
No, it was 2009, 10, and 11.
And then again in 2000. But I wonder, during those stretches when you had losses, did you ever think about, like, maybe I am done? Maybe I should quit?
Deep inside, I knew I'm not done, and it was like 100% what motivated me back in 2009, 10 when I got 4 losses in a row. It's like I wanted to shut all these fucking mouths to who saying, like, Arlovski done, you have to hang up. But at the same time, I have to admit that I did do some like medical exam, check my head, like my body, because what's the point to be punching back for someone and if your body doesn't let you like do what you love to do. So yes, I admit it. When people start saying, Arlovski, you've done this and that, I said, okay, if doctor, professional gonna say me, okay, better to leave it right here. Of course, I don't want to kill myself, but otherwise, no.
I love it. But now that you're 5-1, does that make you just want to like middle finger to all those people that said it? Like, I showed you guys.
Pretty much.
Co-main event. I mean, at this point in your career, do you care at all where you are on the card? Does it matter?
I'm okay when first fight on a night, but yeah, thanks UFC, they invite me to trust me to get a co-main event.
You said you got a couple years left. What
I said 3, 4.
3, 4. When do you know to call it? Like, will the reason that you decide finally to walk away, will it be because you're tired of fighting, or will it be because your body can't take it anymore, or you just don't want to commit? Like, what will be the reason, you think?
Body tight, I can't take it anymore, but thanks God, like, and I want to repeat over and over, I still have fire in my eyes, and like right now around me, like I work with the right coaches. My wife let me do what I love to do, so I'm good.
I love it. Last thing for me, the goal on Saturday, is it just to win, or is the goal to finally not have your coaches yell at you for not doing what you're supposed to be doing? It seems like after every win, you say that they're pissed off at you because you didn't do what you were supposed to.
But they're pissed off less and less, so hopefully, of course, I'm going to do 100% game plan, but it's almost impossible.
Andrei, you mentioned your goals that you still have. You've been around a long time. You have a chance to tie the wins record. You have a chance. The record book's full of your name. What are those goals that you have?
Be a champion again. to fight top fighters, and I'm employee of UFC, and I'm gonna fight what UFC gonna give me to fight. So Jake, another tough young stud and dangerous heavy hitter. So I have to be alert. I have to stick with my game plan as usual, keep my hands up, and move around.
Not many guys have been around as long as you have, and you look at what Overeem's doing now, and you've been other places, and you look at what Ben Rothwell just did to go to bare knuckle. Or anything like that in your future, maybe, or you want to just finish it out with the UFC?
Listen, I have a great present. Why I need to think about future? I'm okay. I'm super good with UFC. I'm okay where I'm right now. So one step at a time.
How much does the wins record mean to you?
For me, of course, it's like, oh, that's nice, but more important, I think it's for my striking coach, Paulino Hernandez. He's all about all these records, like strikes per round, etc., etc., etc. So for me, it's more important to beat my opponent.
Thank you.
Chino, man, it feels like it's been a long time coming, right, to get to this main event spot, and you're here, right? So, what's the feeling like for you at this moment?
It feels great. Feels like a dream come true. So I don't mind the long run. I don't mind the hard road. At the end of the day, it's who make it at the end of the day. So for me, it's just step by step and go hard, put in some good performances, and just as simple as just fuck shit up.
I know what main eventing isn't your ultimate goal, a championship is, but do you kind of sit back and enjoy it a little bit, soak it in, like what you've accomplished, where you've gotten to at this point, or can you not allow yourself to have that mindset?
I just like all the experience I got from all this time. You know, I got a lot of tough opponents in front of me. I got former champions in front of me. So I feel like all that being around and fighting at the top consistently will just make me a better fighter and make me more dangerous for the future fight. So I feel I'm on a great moment. I'm in a good mental space. Physically, I don't think I can be more ready, or I could train harder than I already did. So I feel great, and Saturday will come, and I'm gonna kick Rob's ass.
The last two performances especially were incredible, right? I mean, you've had some great ones along the way, but the last two, I think people really stood up and took notice. What do you attest that to? I mean, is that just the culmination of the journey that you've gotten to, like finally all coming together?
I really think losing to Aldo the way I lose, like, you know, I'm the person that I will never say, oh, he hold me down. Like, that's not such thing. Like, I'm like, I was the one that was supposed to escape and, you know, kick his ass, but I don't believe on get-ups. I don't believe the referee should standing up. If you're fighting somebody that is boring or want to hold you down, fuck it. That's the way. Winning is way better than fucking losing, so good for them. So I think losing like that, it's almost like kills me in the inside, because I know how close I was to finish him. I know how tired he was, and I just, you know, it's all on me. I unfocused. I will never blame a coach or a person. It's all my fault. So I think that loss just make me angry. I was not happy with myself, and there's only one thing you can do, and it's get better, learn from it, suck it up, and go. And that's why I fought the way I fought the last two fights. And that coming this Saturday, I'm gonna fight just as hard and just as smart, because I just don't want to lose like that. You know, if somebody's a better man, if somebody just got better fighting than I do, fuck it. I know for a matter of fact I will never give up. I know I'm not gonna not try, but just losing like that, I hate it, and that's one guy I would like to kick his ass in the future. So first things first, he got rolled from in front of me. I'm gonna go through him, and I will see what's next.
What do you think about Rob as an opponent? Obviously, everybody kind of praises his boxing skills that he has. I mean, what do you think of him?
He's a good fighter, you know. I think he's a great athlete. I think he got experience, and I think his advantage really is he's just big for the division. He cuts a lot of weight. I think he comes in strong, but I don't care how much you cut off a weight. Eventually that will catch up to you, and you can fight high rounds with anybody if you cut that much of a weight. So I know it's going to be a tough fight. I know it's going to be a hard fight, and sounds weird, but I normally always expect the worst. I never walk to that cage thinking like, oh, it's going to be a walk in the park. That's best scenario, but I'm always walk to that cage just thinking like bad things can happen to me. That's why I remain sharp the whole time. But he's a good athlete, but I just feel I'm a better fighter, and I feel like I just wanted more.
Does 5 rounds change anything for you in terms of, you know, how you approach your pace or anything like that?
I just have 10 more minutes to work, so I'm happy to have that in the back pocket. I know, like, you know, if things are not going too well, I got 10 more minutes to try, you know. I always say, if you are alive, you have a chance to do anything in life. If I have time in that fucking clock, I can kick your ass at any moment. So I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to get that win.
I love it, man. You're already at the top of the division, but you win here. You're among those very, very elite names at the very top, right? Do you see a clear path to the top? Like, is there, you know, I know what my next fight should be, and this should be this. What's the path for you?
I believe a great win on Saturday night will put me on title contention. And depending how the cards are played on the top, it's either I can go straight for the belt or I have another fight. But a win this Saturday put me right there.
I agree. Last thing for me, I guess, knowing that, I guess, what's the goal? I mean, is it just, hey, get a win and you stay up at the top of the division? Or do you were like, I got to go out there, I got to finish this guy, I got to get a Sports Center highlight or whatever, I got to get people talking about me?
Oh, I'm always looking to hurt you. I'm always looking to finish you. So I know I have the tools for that. I have the endurance for that. So I'm just thinking on win. And if I can hurt you in that process, good for me.
Chito, what's happening? Jim Greasehaber, MMA Weekly. You've taken the long road here, man. This isn't something where you've been, in a title fight real early in your time with the UFC. So that journey, it has really been a journey for you. What's it like to be where you are now? You're in the top 10. You've fought and you've scrapped and you've earned every bit of it, fighting guys like Aldo and Frankie, and now with a chance to possibly look at the top 5.
It feels good. I feel like all the hard work is paying off. I think all the consistency, they never give up, bring me here. Everybody have a different path. Everybody have a different road. Some guys, have a quicker path. Some guys have a longer path. At the end of the day, is who made it. So life is a marathon. Life can be a sprint. Life is everything, at the same time. So at the end of the day is who made it at the end. And that's what I'm focused about. That's what I want.
It doesn't matter when, right? It just matters that you do.
Exactly.
So when you think about it and the way that, as you get older, you get smarter, you kind of have that equation where the physical skills, the mental skills kind of meet and you're in your peak. Would you say that's where you are right now?
Yeah, my coach always says that, like, some people, their body don't catch up to their mind, and right now they're pretty connected. I feel I'm not even 30 years old, and I figured it out. And like I said again, I came from Ecuador. I didn't came from this big gym with with big names. At the beginning, I was just trying to figure it out where to go and what to do, and it's not easy to do that inside the UFC. You gotta fight tough guys. You gotta fight guys that have like a real gym around there. At the beginning, I was just like, fuck, like I don't even know what I'm doing right now. So there's no regrets on that. There's no shame on that. I just find a way, and I feel I'm really good at that.
And your journey, can you just talk a little bit about your journey so far? You said you're still young. You have a lot to go. We know your goal is to be a champ, but that journey so far has taken you so many incredible places, and here you are. It's crazy when you think about it.
I've been around the world. I fought everywhere. I fought in Brazil. I fought in London. I fought in South America, and it's just good to be around. So you can learn things. You can get better from all those fights. And it took me 19 fights to be here, and I'm okay with that. I'm not in a need for a shortcut. I'm not looking for shortcuts anywhere. So. It is what it is for me, and I'm happy to be here. I'm excited, and I cannot wait till Saturday night.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate you.
This being your first 5-round main event fight, have you had to make any changes to your camp in preparation for this?
We just add 2 rounds to the sparring sessions, and when I have a regular 3-rounder, we bring in sparring partners and we go 3 rounds, and you either win the fight or you lose the fight. I feel some people want to do like 10 rounds, but you're not fighting 10 rounds. You're fighting either 3 or 5. So this time we just add those extra 2 rounds, and there's some ways to get the sessions harder. You can have a fresh guy each round. We did all we can do to be prepared for this fight, but at the end of the day, keep the mind sharp, and the body is always on point because I don't get off the gym, so I remain consistently, and I feel really good for this fight. I feel good, and I feel that I'm in great spirits for Saturday night.
That's actually much the same you were saying last time. Last fight afterwards, you came out saying this fight camp, I just felt really good. The weight cut went well. I just felt well overall. So is this just this point you're at in your career where everything just seems to be firing on all cylinders?
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. I feel like my weight comes down pretty good. I feel my training camps are. I don't feel I do training camps anymore because I don't come to the gym when they call me for a fight. I'm on the gym the whole year, so I'm always adding tools. I'm always evolving. I'm always trying to figure it out how to get better. And I feel like I get to a point that I know how to fight. Now it's just make sure the mind is right. Make sure you can go through these moments and make sure you're ready to go.
And finally, for me, last fight you also mentioned after MSG, you mentioned how much the crowd fired you up, and you said you're a more dangerous fighter in front of a crowd. Now that you're back here at the Apex, do you sort of feel maybe not disappointed, but maybe at a bit of a disadvantage than you would be as opposed to fighting in front of a crowd?
I just feel having a main event, it's enough motivation just to go in there and kick some ass. I say I like the crowd because some people either like not people because they get nervous with the crowd or they fired out from the crowd. I can do both. I feel like if there's nobody here, it's more personal. It's more me and you. It's more like a fight on the park at 5 p.m. on Friday night, or you're in front of like 10,000 people screaming. So I don't mind either way. I feed from both. I feed from the silence and the one-on-one personal, and I also feed from the crowd. So I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, Chito. Gracias por tomar tiempo aquí con nosotros. ¿Cómo estuvo la preparación para este campamento, para esta pelea? Y mencionaste que ya no tienes campamentos porque estás constantemente en el gimnasio.
Pues me siento muy bien, he entrenado muy fuerte para esta pelea, me he mantenido muy consistente como lo he venido diciendo y simplemente me siento bien conmigo mismo, me siento bien con mi preparación y el día sábado se verán todos esos frutos del trabajo.
De acuerdo. ¿Cómo se siente ser un peleador de Ecuador, que es el peleador de la pelea estelar? Este es tu evento con Rod.
Se siente bien porque sé de dónde vengo, sé cuánto me costó llegar donde estoy y he estado en altos y bajos en mi vida y en mi carrera y pues se siente bien que finalmente estamos llegando a las cosas grandes de verdad.
Todavía te queda mucho en tu carrera, estás súper joven, pero ¿qué es más importante para tu legado? ¿El campeonato o poderle abrir las puertas a otros del parte del mundo del que vienes tú?
Pues obviamente el campeonato es lo más importante para mí, pero mi éxito le abre las puertas a muchos latinos y a otros ecuatorianos, así que eso viene en buena hora, pero al final del día el que sale a pelear, el que quiere ese cinturón soy yo y lo hago por mí, por mi familia, por hacer historia, pero es como que un arma de doble filo, ¿no? Me da la satisfacción de ser campeón algún día y al mismo tiempo pues se le hace camino a los que vienen de más abajo.
Claro que sí. ¿Y qué piensas de tu oponente? ¿Él viene un poquito más peligroso porque viene de su derrota o no importa el nombre, estás preparado de cualquier modo al 100?
Pues puede ser un arma, como lo dije, ¿no? Puede ser de dos lados, ¿no? Puede venir muy motivado, puede venir un poco desmotivado, eso no lo sé y al final del día no me importa, ¿no? Yo sé dónde estoy yo sé qué tan preparado estoy y es lo que realmente me tiene la mente y el corazón a fuego para salir con todo el día sábado.
De acuerdo. Y finalmente, ¿cómo se siente que este fin de semana tenemos el draft de fútbol americano? Stevenson y Oscar Valdés, el mexicano en el MGM, otro latino en la pelea estelar. ¿Te da más fuego? ¿Te prende? ¿Cómo se
pues
siente?
es una semana grande para los deportes, ¿no? Y aquí en el Apex va a haber buenas peleas, hay buenas peleas de boxeo también en el MGM, así que es una buena semana para los latinos, ¿no?
Buena suerte y gracias.
Gracias. Thank you, guys.
Welcome back, Rob. I know last time didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to, so just talk to me about the lessons you take from a fight like that.
Man, that was rough, man. That was rough. Yeah, you can't get hit that clean that early versus a guy like Aldo. I was doing good. Even after I got hit, I still felt like I maybe even got that round, and then came out the second round, still felt good, and then after that, it was just everything he touched me with, I was looking at for all those. But yeah, no, it was that power, man. He had some power, some accuracy, and he picked and chose when to like let that go. And I felt that veteran in him. He picked and chose when to even exchange, even on the fence, even on the ground. He was just riding it out. It was a smart game plan for him, and then it wasn't my night, but I learned a lot. I felt I had fun in doing it, and yeah.
I was gonna say, the positives, I guess, right? Lessons, fighting an elite level fighter, and I wonder too. Knowing how hurt you were early on, like, do you take some pride in the fact that like maybe a lesser man would have found a way out?
Yeah, I guess I'll take anything I can get right now, but yeah, it was tough. It was weird because I wasn't like tired. I just wasn't there. Like I know I can go 5 rounds. I know it wasn't a cardio thing. I just every time he touched me, it was just fuck. Like, what's going on? It's not working. Slow it down. Stop. But yeah, no, definitely. I know you're gonna have to really put me out to get me out of there. So.
Was there any consideration at all to taking more time off? It feels like it's a pretty quick turnaround for you. Was there any consideration at all to like, maybe we should chill for a little bit and rest up? Not
necessarily. It seemed worse than what it was, but it was only maybe 2 or 3 big shots. My eye was obviously we had a heal from the orbital, but that was pretty quick. And then I think we had enough time to kind of recover, rest up, and I didn't do much after the fight, and we took the recovery serious, and then once we got the clearance, it was all go.
Nice. Back in the main event as well, so I got to wonder, does it feel like maybe the promotion's respecting you a little bit, or kind of a nice pat on the back? You're like, okay, hold on, they put me back in the main event, they must still believe I belong there.
Hell yeah, we 3 back-to-back 3 main events. Versus especially against 2 former champions. I think they trust me. I think they know I'm going to put on an exciting fight. I think they know I'm going to make weight. I'm going to show up, and then I'm going to handle business.
Nice. You talk about fighting elite level competition. Where do you rank Marlon in there? Do you view him as elite competition? What do you think about him as an opponent?
Yeah, no, he's up there, man. He's been around for a while. It's weird, like people like are acting like he's like the new guy, but he's been around for a while. Ultimate Fighter show, fought a lot of tough guys. Fought Aldo. I definitely give him to that. I would say he might not stand out in one particular like martial art, but like overall, he's tough. He's gritty, and he's not easy to put away either. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if he's been finished much. So like, this guy's there. He's hungry, and I know he's gonna bring the fight. So this is an exciting fight for me.
I know when you take a loss, you have to take a step back a little bit, right? But you win here. You're still right there in those elite. So, are you still thinking about yourself as a contender and kind of where you shake out in the division?
Yes and no. Obviously, this fight is one of those, like, we're fighting backwards, and that doesn't necessarily, obviously, catapult me to the title shot, which is whatever. I'm just trying to get my hand raised, get back to that win streak, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Nice. Last thing for me, obviously goal here to pick up a victory, but is it to like maybe silence some people that maybe had doubt after the last one, or is it to maybe prove something to yourself that no, I am that guy? What's the goal in this one?
No, I just go out there, do my thing, have fun. You know how the critics and the fans are. They're gonna say whatever they're gonna say. I'm gonna go out there. I could go out there and knock him out, but like, well, he didn't do it in 2 rounds. He only did it in 3 rounds. So, this is for me. This is for this is for the team. This is for the cartel, and I'm just excited to get back.
Do you think you have an advantage over Cheeto, given the fact you're coming off of 2 5-round fights in a row, whereas he's yet to have one?
Yeah, I do. I do believe, that like when I did my first one versus it was a Cody, right? It was Cody. Yeah. There was a point like, all right, well, hopefully we can go all 5. But then when you do go all 5, you're like, all right, I know I can push it. Also, I think it all depends on how that first 2 round plays out. You know, if it's a slower technical fight, like, you know, those extra rounds, I wouldn't say mean much. But if it's up and down, slug them out, then you still got 3 more rounds. That could change everything.
You've never been knocked out in your career. Do you chalk that up to just sheer toughness, or is it just the defensive skill set of just never being in the way of that kill shot?
Oh, I should have, you know, I should have been a little bit more on point with the last one. But yeah, no, you know, I think it's the footwork. I think it's the defense and a little bit of toughness. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Check.
Welcome back. That last fight, I know immediately after the last fight, you're pretty positive, even though it was kind of a weird ending. Were you able to keep that same feel when you went home, or was it like a little bit, I didn't quite get what I wanted there?
I was bummed, Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's a small room. I was a little bit bummed, honestly. I was happy, mostly happy with my performance. Felt I had a great performance. Obviously, the ending is what we wanted. It's been a real tough. I've been inactive for 8 months. It's been a real the past 8 months has been real tough for me, honestly. In certain ways, it's been a real test. But I've come back better. I've really had to deal with a lot of things in these past 8 months, being inactive and having a lot of uncertainty in my life. And I got a mortgage to pay. I have people that I want to make proud. I have all these goals that I want to check off the list, and I can't do that inactive. Not only was I inactive, I also didn't have a UFC contract secured. So there was a lot of uncertainty these past 8 months, and I walked through the fire, came out better. I got a new contract signed. I busted my ass doing 3 or 4 sessions a day. And I'm ready to go to the next one. I'm ready to focus on. I've been focused on Saturday. I'm ready to just get another win. That's been the biggest lesson since that fight. Is just what's in the past is in the past, man. You just got to keep pushing forward, and that's what I'm focused on is constant progression.
Well, and I don't want to make you live through it all, right? I know you want to move forward, but I was curious about that. Did they give you any idea of why it took? You've been around for a while. You put on entertaining fights. It doesn't seem like a hard decision for him to make.
I don't know, man. It's a weird thing. I've kind of grown up in this company. I got here. I was 23. I was a baby still. I'm 31 now. That in and of itself, as I get older, something that my coach Danny Castillo has kind of helped instill in me is just the pride and longevity. A lot of people are here, and they're gone before you realize it. This has been my whole life. This has been my job. When people ask, oh, what? I don't have a lot of careers to list. This is it. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the UFC. I've been in the UFC. So it is a little weird to me. I've been here for so long, and I've never been in a boring fight. There's not a lot of people who could say that. And to me, it's a no-brainer. I don't think I should have to wait 8 months between fights. But again, man, I'm just real focused on controlling the controllables. All I can control is myself, and I put in so much work, and I did everything to the best of my ability, and now I'm ready to go perform. And that's all I really care about, man. I can't focus on the other shit, And as long as I win fights, everything else will work itself out. I got a nice new contract. It's looking pretty, and I'm excited to go get my money.
So the mortgage payment's not a problem now.
The mortgage payment's not a problem. And here's the thing: the mortgage payment, thankfully, because as I've gotten older, I've gotten smarter with money. The mortgage payment wasn't a problem in those 8 months, but there's definitely a voice in the back of your head when you've gone 8 months without any income. Thankfully I'm prepared for that, but you don't want to go another 8 months. You'd like to see a light at the end of the tunnel, and when there isn't one, it's how long. It's a question of character. It's how long can you push forward when there's no finish line? How long are you down to sprint as hard as you can when you don't know where the finish line is? When you got to really you got to take a hard look at yourself, and you got to ask yourself some hard questions. And I got through it, and I'm better for it.
I know we're here to talk about fighting, but I'm curious. Is that kind of the hardest part of this profession, right? Is you get these fat checks once or twice a year, and you got to realize you're not going to be fighting when you're 50. You know what I mean? It's not a normal job. Is that the hardest part? Is understanding this money looks like a lot, but it's not if you don't take care of it?
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of everything is relative, right? So what used to be a lot of money isn't a lot of money to me now, and what used to be a big problem isn't a big problem now. You just kind of grow. You grow. I'm set. I made 16 grand. I'd never seen that much money in my life. I was ready. I was you couldn't tell me anything, and I blew through all of it. And then at the end of the year, I fought one more time. I think I made 30 grand that year, and I thought I was living. And then they were like, "Hey, you owe 9 grand in taxes." I'm like, I don't have 9 grand. I haven't seen 9 grand for months. You know what I'm saying? I got nothing in my bank account. So, going from that, being 23 and blowing through checks to getting bigger checks and being smarter with the money, it's all relative, It's you just have to learn, and you have to adapt. There's no amount of money that you can't blow through, you know. So you kind of have to start. You have to be smart, and also I think it's a growth thing too. Like things don't make me as happy as they used to. Like it used to be about things. Like I got to spend money on these things that I didn't have growing up, and now it's like, you know, I don't try to fill the void with things. There's still a void. I'm still trying to fill it, but like, don't get. This is not self-help. Like I don't have it figured out, but I don't fill it with stupid shit anymore. You know, I try to fill it with meaningful experiences and people I love.
That's awesome, man. All right, let's talk about fighting now. So you just need a name, right? I mean, that's it. You want to fight. They give you Joanderson Brito. I imagine you probably don't know much about him. Here's a guy that's fighting for a second time in the UFC.
Right.
Is that disappointing, or do you care? I mean, he's certainly a dangerous fighter.
Yeah, he's dangerous. I mean, I don't care because it's like, I don't know. Everyone at the UFC is good. Like, I think people who aren't involved in the sport as much don't understand. You guys understand, obviously. Fighters understand. But people are like, oh, he's only fought one time in the UFC. It's like, yeah, but he hurt 12 people to get here. Like, he's a dangerous dude. And everybody that you fight in the UFC is going to be dangerous, almost without exception. You don't get to this part of the sport without being something special, you know. So I don't take anybody lightly. Like, this is a dangerous dude. Every single fight is the most important fight to me. With that said, I'm more dangerous, you know, and I don't care who it is. Like if you watched how I fought in the Pineda fight, it's going to be a lot more of that. I'm the best featherweight in the world, and no one's going to believe me right now, and I don't care. I'm just going to keep proving it. And I'm excited for that. I'm kind of at a place where it's like, yeah, I don't care. I'll fight Joanderson Brito. I'll fight this guy. I'll fight whoever. I spent 8 months. I feel like I've slid all the way back down the mountain I worked to climb. I'm just going to climb back up it, and I'm going to do it with a smile, you know? Like, this is what we do. I love this shit.
As you said, never a dull fight. Do you go out there with the mindset of, like, I'm going to be entertaining, or is it just that the way that you fight makes it entertaining?
No, I think fighting is like any other art. You know, it's to some degree it's a natural expression of who you are. You can't fake the funk. You know, you can try, but when the lights are on and everything's on the line, like who you are shows, and that's the most terrifying and the most beautiful thing about fighting is it's real. You know, you really get to figure out who you are, and I think that me being exciting fights is just a natural expression of kind of who I am. You know, and I'm thankful for it, but it's not something that I like consciously make the choice to do. You know, it's instinct, and it's just part of me. You know, I'm thankful for it.
Nice. Last thing for me, you went here. You know, the contract secured, everything. I mean, is the goal like to just stay as busy as possible? Is that the hope? It's just
dude, I'll fight every month. I don't care. Like I'll fight every other week if I can. I'll stay. I sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, I will stay as busy as possible. I will lose my fucking mind if I have to go. Excuse my language. I will lose my mind if I have to go another 8 months. Like I'm trying to fight every single. If there's a card in Vegas, I'm ready to be on it. Like at this point, I only want to fight in Vegas because it's an hour flight from my house. There's no taxes, and the whole Apex PI and fighter hotel situation is like perfect. They have it down to a science. It's a beautiful thing what UFC's done all through COVID, and they're still kind of continuing some of those procedures with like the hotel and the shuttle and the Apex. It's perfect. Even if they do the fights at T-Mobile, like whatever, like this Vegas setup, it's perfect. The taxes is a huge. The taxes and the hour flight. Like when I was younger, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's go to Poland, let's go to Brazil, let's go. Where we fighting next? I'm like, I don't want to do that shit now. I want to fly 1 hour here, knock someone out, get paid with no taxes, and fly 1 hour home to my girlfriend and my dog and my pool and be left alone. The older you get, the more you just want to get left alone. You just want to be left alone. That's where I'm at.
Says the 31-year-old, right?
Right. I mean, hey, I'm not saying I got to figure it out. I'm just saying at this stage, I want to be left alone, and it's only moving that direction, you know.
Oh, I just meant I'm a lot older, but that's a lot of wisdom. I wasn't that smart when I was your age. Jim Grease, MMA Weekly. Just want to ask you about that 8 months.
Yeah.
The more time goes by, because it probably felt like 8 years at that. So you started to have doubts, I'm sure, at some point. You're wondering, like, you know, where's this going? Did you lose confidence at all? Did you lose faith at all? Did you just kind of put it on the back burner? And how did you get through that time?
Yeah, so two things. So the first thing is, yeah, you know, there are doubts that start creeping in, you know. I could sit here and lie and say, like, nah, calm, cool, collected. It's like, no, man, I lost sleep for sure. You know, I'm in the bed next to my girl. She's sound asleep, and I'm staring at the ceiling like, fuck, dude, I'm 31. I've given my entire life to this thing, to be in the UFC. Like in my head, part of my identity is a UFC fighter, and now I'm here coming off a no contest with no contract and no other means of really income. You know, like I was at a point where it's like, fuck, do I have to go get a job? Like, do I have to ask my friends if there's openings at their companies and shit? You know, it's like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it definitely hurts to go from being like, last month I was the signed fighter of the UFC chasing his dream, and now I'm a guy, and I'm a 31-year-old who's unemployed, you know, and I have no immediate prospects, you know, of doing what I love again, and just knowing like there's such a small window of time that you get to do this, and they're just fucking stealing it from me, and it's just, you know, that's really, there's no other way to put it. Like, I'm just being stolen from me. Like, I'm gonna make up for it. I'm still gonna cement my legacy, but you just feel every fucking day being stolen from you, that you don't have a fight, and it hurts. Yeah, it kept me up at night. It's the first time when people say they've lost sleep. Like, it's the first time I lost sleep. Like, it'd keep me up at night, like thinking about the fact that I'm 31 and I haven't accomplished what I want to accomplish, and now I don't even have the opportunity to do it because I don't have a contract and I haven't fought in 6 months. You know. The second part of that is, and this is why I'm so thankful for guys like Danny Castillo and Uriah Faber, it doesn't matter how you feel. You just go to practice and you just keep going. No one gives a fuck. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel, you know? Like, there's days I wake up and I love fighting, and there's days I wake up and I hate fighting, and both days I show up and both days I get better. And so you just put your head down and you work your ass off. Before you know it, 8 months have passed and you figured it out, and you've like finessed a thing here. I taught a little seminar. I got a sponsor to help me out. I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm training every day, and before you know it, I signed a contract that's bigger than any of the contracts I had before. So the two parts of that, it hurt bad and it kept me up at night, and I went to some dark places. The second part, I stayed the course, and I never stopped training. I never stopped getting better.
That's important. Definitely. Fighting's been such a huge thing in your life. You know, from when you were a kid, tough childhood, you're in the streets fighting. You walk into Alpha Male and you take it this far, and here you are, man. And then it gets taken away from you, like you said. So that's something that kind of saved you and became who you are. So then here you are back. So when you finally got that call, man, that must have been the best day.
Yeah, it felt good. I was losing my mind. I was so excited, you know. And it was actually a little hectic because I took a fight on like 4 weeks' notice. That fell through. And I took a fight on 10 days' notice. No, I'm sorry. I took a fight on 4 weeks' notice. That fell through. So I took the Brito fight. And then that got changed around. And I took a fight on 10 days' notice where I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll make the weight. Whatever. Doesn't matter. And then the 10-day notice fell through. And then I got back so it was like, you're fighting in 4 weeks, you're fighting in 10 days, you're fighting in 7 weeks, you're fighting in 10 days, you're fighting in 7 weeks. It was like, whatever, dude, just fucking book the ticket. I don't care. Like, it was like 3 or 4 different opponents, 3 or 4 different dates, and I said yes to all of it because, like I said, no matter how good or bad things are going, like, I'm in the gym 3 times a day, I'm training. Like, doesn't matter. Stay the course, and the hard work pays off.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, brother.
You haven't been winless for 2 fights in a row in your entire career.
Yeah.
Granted, your last fight was probably the best you've ever looked, but it was still no contest.
Right.
First time in your career, it's winless in 2 fights. Is that something that's on your mind as you're rolling into this next one? Nah,
because a no contest to me isn't a loss, especially because I think that was a good performance by myself. Like, I'm pretty honest. I'll tell you, like, there have been performances like I'm kind of an open book. Like, what you see is what you get. Like, I can't bullshit. So it's like, I think my performance was fucking sick, my last fight. I'll tell you, like, I didn't think my performance was very good against Bryce Mitchell, for example. But then I bounced back. I had a great performance against Daniel Pineda. You know, there's ups and downs in this sport. That's how it goes. And I can, like I've said it so many times, I try to focus on controlling the controllables. I had a great performance. It sucks that the eye poke happened. I personally think part of it why I didn't open is because I just split it open with my shin. He wanted to keep fighting. I wanted to keep fighting. Doctor made a bad call. That's not really on me, you know. Like, I did my job. So to me, I'm not winless in 2 fights. Like, I lost a fight. I was winning a fight and it kind of got stolen from me, and then I'm going to win a fight Saturday. I'll never go back-to-back losses, and from here on out, it's going to be back-to-back wins. You know, in the 8 months, the biggest lesson I've learned is just like not dwelling in the past. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, no matter how the Pinedo fight ended or the 12 other fights that ended before that, it doesn't matter. Like, the only thing I care about is winning this fight April 30th.
I mean, you got 17 fights in the UFC right now.
I said 13 like right now. I'm like, yeah, the other 16 fight. That's crazy.
To your opponent's 2.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be making his second appearance in the Octagon.
Yeah.
Do you think that gives you a huge advantage? You know, him only in the show for his second time.
I don't know. I haven't thought about that, honestly. I've spent a lot of time thinking about the advantages I have over him, which I think there's many. But I haven't really thought about that. I'm sure it doesn't hurt, you know, but I also don't think that – I just think a fight's a fight, kind of. It doesn't matter. Like, if you make it matter that it says UFC on the cage and there's light, then maybe he'll get psyched out by that, but I'm not counting on that. Like, a fight's a fight, and this dude knows how to fight. It's not like he's had 2 fights in UFC, but he's had like 12 or 13 fights outside. Like, he knows how to fight. He's from Brazil. I'm sure he's been in some fights. Like, you can look at him. He's not a dude who's worried about getting in a fist fight. So I'm not counting on that. I'm counting on all my other advantages to beat him.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Andre, welcome back. It's been a minute.
Yeah, oh, got you.
And then you've always been honest with us. You mentioned that things that make you happy don't as much. What have you leaned on lately? What's getting you?
Yeah, well, what I was saying is, like, when you first start making money and I was a little younger, like, I just wanted to buy things. I just wanted things. Like, I needed, like, if I bought a pair of Vans, I bought a pair of Vans for me and my roommate and one in every color. It's like, because I need shoes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like shoes, but it's like, I don't really like shoes that fucking much. Or I like, you know what I mean? Like, if I went to the store and got, like, anything, like shoes are an example, comic books, motorcycles, all kinds of shit that, like, well, actually, motorcycles still make me happy. That's a bad example. I still spend money on motorcycles, and my girlfriend doesn't need to know how much. So let's skip over that part. But yeah, I just stopped trying to fill that void with things. Like, it's not as meaningful. You know what I mean? Like, I still like all the same stuff I used to, but you know, you grow to a place where you realize, like, that's not going to fill the void. You know, and really, to me, I'm not out here trying to give life advice. I still have a void that I'm trying to fill. It's just that the only thing that does it meaningfully is winning fights. And so I've committed my entire being to winning this fight. And helping the young guys on the team win fights and trying to just set an example and do these things that actually, like, if I'm gonna struggle with trying to fill this void and this emptiness that I feel pretty regularly, I'm gonna fill it with things that I know are positive and create a positive impact for other people.
That's excellent, man. Respect. And I think it was Nick Diaz who said you have to love this so much you hate it, and you're surrounded by great coaches, legends, former champs. It doesn't matter how you feel, they were saying.
Yeah.
So how do you get up? What's your motivation besides that win and to help out
Yeah.
and elevate them?
Yeah, no, Nick's a legend. So is Nate, both of those dudes. And Nick hit it on the head. You got to love it so much you hate it. And some days, like I said, some days I wake up and I hate this shit. And some days I wake up and I'm in love with it. Like, I don't just love it, like I'm in love with it. But both days I show up and both days I get better. And so it doesn't matter. Like, when you feel these, and this isn't for fighting, this is just something I think anybody could take for any career. When you are in love with something, you got to commit 100% and give every piece of yourself to it. That way you can build these habits, right? Like, so you're obsessed with something, right? But that's not going to last forever. And sometimes you don't control that obsessive motivation. So when you're obsessed and in love with something, do it every day and put those practices into place so that in 6 months, when you're maybe not as motivated, you still have those procedures in place. You have the discipline to show up every day. It's like, you can't just rely on motivation. It has to be, at some point, it has to be discipline. And when the passion hits, you got to run with it. But when it's not there, you rely on the discipline. And I've been doing this shit since I was 19, and so it's nothing. It doesn't matter. When I wake up in the morning, whether I love it or hate it, I'm going to practice at 9:30. Like, it doesn't matter.
That's awesome, man. Those are great habits to have. And lastly, for me, let's circle back to your opponent. You had a couple advantages on him, you mentioned. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Length, physical frame, experience. fight IQ, cage generalship. I think I'm a better grappler, and I don't think people think of me as a grappler at all, which is cool. I hope they continue to not think of me as a grappler, but I can grapple my ass off, and I can wrestle my ass off, and I'm comfortable everywhere the fight goes. So I actually think I'm a better striker and a better grappler. And he is a pretty explosive, like tough bulldog dude, but I actually think I'm also a better athlete as far as my gas tank and my explosivity. I really, man, I don't want this to sound pretentious, but I really don't see a part of the fight where I don't have an advantage. I'm better everywhere.
Nothing wrong with that. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you, brother.
Just a couple quick ones. When you said that you had went to like those dark places in that time when you were waiting to get the contract and things like that, was it the routine of going to the gym, or what was it that pulled you out? Was it teammates? Was it your girlfriend? Was it routine? What pulled you out when you started finding that you could recognize that you were in a dark spot?
Again, I don't want this to sound pretentious because my team, my girlfriend, my dog, these people that I love, my friends. I've had the same friends since I was like 13, 14, 15 years old. Like I don't have a bunch of new friends. Like I have friends that have been with me from the bottom, you know. And as much as I love and value those people, no one pulled me out of the dark place except myself. Like because no one else can. You have to do it yourself. Just like no one else is going to get in this cage and fight for me. No one else is going to do this interview for me. No one else is going to cut this weight for me. It has to be you. So anybody else who's going through some dark shit, like you gotta recognize that it's just you that can do it, and it's kind of a daunting thing at first, but it's also kind of a reassuring thing and a relieving thing to realize like you have the power to do it, you know. And so for me, it was just biting down and relying on that discipline of staying committed to training and staying the course and keeping promises to keeping my promises to the people that I love, you know. Like I have told the people I love since I was 13 or 14 years old that I'm going to be a UFC featherweight champion, and I'm going to do it. And everything else is unacceptable, you know. And so you have to be borderline delusional committed to that, which is what I am. You know what I mean? And so myself recognizing my own patterns and staying committed to my goals and my promises is what pulled me out of it, you know. And again, teammates, friends, girlfriend, family, they help, but no one else is going to do it for you. You got to do it yourself.
That's awesome. Just quickly, I guess, about the contract. How many fights did you get on this particular contract?
5, I believe. Yeah.
Now,
which is a lot, but again, I wasn't really in a position to like measure dicks and negotiate. I'm like 8 months with no income. I'm like, yeah, what do you want? What do you just fucking send me it? I don't care. Whatever. I don't care. Just get me in the cage. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so I'm assuming this whole time you were hitting them up, trying to get things, and you weren't getting either calls
My management
back?
was, yeah. I let my management handle all that. Yeah.
So it's got to be weird. The whole time you're waiting for something, but then when you get to the negotiating table, they give you more money than you actually expected.
Yeah.
That's got to be kind of a weird, awkward feeling.
It was
like
weird.
You're
Like they're playing hard to get or something, I guess. But I'm like, dude, if you wanted me, you could have just told me that the whole time. I'm right here, baby. What's up? Like, they're playing hard to get, like most good things do. So whatever. I mean, my thought process now is like, yeah, I don't understand why they shelved me for 8 months. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm being hard on matchmakers and stuff. Like, yo, the world is fucking crazy right now. There's a pandemic and a war and instability and life is crazy for a lot of people. So I don't know if it was necessarily like I don't want to paint this picture like they hate Andrei Fili. The UFC hates Andrei Fili and didn't want to have me in the cage. I think it was just that I fought my contract out. Things are hectic booking fights. There was no openings. Like it was kind of crazy. I had a change in management. You know, I'm not like blaming any one person. I just think, you know, sometimes you get dealt a rough hand, and I had to ride that out for a few months. And my mentality now is like, all right, cool. I didn't get to fight for a few months. Fuck it. I'm going to. In those 8 months, what would I have done? 1 or 2 fights? I'll make it up this year. Like I'll fight 3 or 4 times this year, and it will still have the same progress that we would have. You know, like really that ownership of like it's up to me. Like I'm not blaming anyone else. Like I didn't get a fight. I chose to fight my contract out. I didn't get a fight, and I'm gonna make up for it. It's like it's just complete acceptance and ownership.
So what's the goal, I guess, for the year? How many fights are you looking for? Because you want to make up for that lost time, but you also want to give your time to heal and make sure that you're coming in at your peak performance.
No, I'm healed. I don't need any time. Anyone listening to this, I'm healed. I'm plenty healed. Just fucking book me 3 fights now. It's fine. Like, I will be as active as they can keep me. I don't care. Like, I don't need time to heal. I'm good. I'm good. I don't need I'm not healing from anything. What heals me is paychecks. Paychecks are healing to me. So I want to fight. If I can fight 5 times this year, I'll do it. I don't care.
That's awesome. Best of luck.
Appreciate you. Cool.
Maybe like the So I guess welcome back. You know, it's been a year at this point. I guess what has this year been like for you? I mean, I know you had a lot to overcome. So what's it been like for you? Okay. Good.
Yeah, there's been obviously a lot of stresses and downsides, but I also had a daughter that's almost turning 2, and so that really has been a shining jewel in my life. Like I'm so filled with love every time I even look or think about her. Like that is just that's really helped me over the last year. But yeah, going through a second neck surgery, same one, not for the same spot, but for another level in my neck. It hit me hard. Like I was super motivated, super positive for the first one. And I came back and my neck felt pretty good. From there, I was excited to get going. And then the second one hit me, and it was, like I knew that I needed surgery right away. This time I could tell that there was no recovery because I tried to recover from the first one and it just got worse. So that was a pretty dark couple months there when I first had surgery, but and the first couple months. But as soon as I was able to start training again, and one thing is that I've really never had many setbacks in my career as far as injury-wise that have kept me from training, and I love training. It's all I want to do every day. Rest days are one of the hardest things for me, and I really wanted to make sure that I was 100% coming back, and it was. It's always a question in your mind, am I going to be able to do this again? But you know what? I had faith in the process, and as soon as I started training again, everything started getting better so much quickly. And I think that because I've been training all my life, having it taken away from me really added to the depression and the stress, right? Like one of the best stress relievers is working out. Well, my way of working out is training, and you've taken that away from me, and it's, I just sit there venting all day, and but on the flip side, when I was allowed to start going again, I was so hungry for it. I was so excited, and I felt like I'd gotten better just coming back. And as my fitness got better, all these new things that I've been thinking about the whole time I was down are all starting to come together. And this is honestly the best I've ever felt during a fight week this week. My weight's amazing. Everything's just coming together.
That's awesome, man. Well, after going through all that, I do wonder, like the neck. I mean, I guess on the one hand, like, is there any concern, or it's like after you go through a surgery, it's like, well, it's probably better than it can ever be, right? Because it's been fixed. Or is there that like hesitation of, oh God, I can't go through this a third time?
No, I mean, I'm a pretty educated guy when it comes to what's happening with my neck too, and I've looked at a lot of the research. And like you said, these devices, once they're in, they're way stronger than a natural disc. I got 2 titanium discs in my neck that are just ball and socket titanium. There ain't nothing to break in there. So I'm super confident with the product. I'm not worried. Like, these ones are done. Will more levels go? Like, well, I know that this is all stemming from a car accident, and the damage after that, we had 2 discs that were severely damaged, but we only fixed one the first time because it was the one that was giving me obvious major problems. And we knew the other one would probably go at some point, but we thought, hey, it's not giving you issues right now, so let's try and hold off. And it, just unfortunately didn't happen that way. But now the rest of my neck is, as far as I know, looks good, man. We're all gonna have some damage in our neck, but there's nothing, even 10% to as close as the damage those 2 discs were. So I feel like everything's tip top. I'm getting punched, choked, kicked. It's all good.
Awesome. All right, getting ready for a cage fight's always grueling, right? But getting ready for a Darren Elkins fight, is that a little bit different thing?
It's a dream come true.
Are you on paper, there's no way that this isn't a war. I guess pretty much every fight he has is a war, and you've kind of gained that reputation as well. So, is this are you writing the fight of the night check already? Or?
I'm not cashing it, but I am writing it. It's just stylistically. Obviously, I love it for myself, but even as a fan, I know that it's going to be a good fight. The 2 of us no one's going to run away from each other. No one's going to, get tired. So it's going to be who can implement their game plan. And, I know what Darren's game plan is. He's done the same thing every single fight, and he's very good at what he does. And I absolutely respect his ability and everything he's capable of. Too many guys, they hurt him and they think, oh, I got him, and they blow their wad, and then, then Darren's right there. He's a dog on a bone. He just jumps right on you and he chokes you out. And I will not be that guy. So I'm just going to go implement my game plan. I'm going to chip away at him, and I'm going to keep constant pressure, and it's going to be a firefight.
I love it. Last thing for me, win here. Moving forward, is it try to get booked right? Do you feel like this kind of need to make up for lost time, basically?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. I would like to fight 5 times a year, personally, if that was my choice. Now, that's never likely going to happen. There's a lot of things that go into marketing and matchmaking and timelines, and there's going to be bumps and bruises and things along the way that slow you down. But I don't want to take much time off. I want to be ready to go. 145 is a massive cut for me. I'm really good at it, but I need 3 weeks from being in shape and good weight to make sure everything goes purposely, because I gotta follow protocol. I'm good at it, but it's hard.
Tristan, thanks for taking the time out of your day, talk to us. The guy we just talked to, Andrei, also wants to fight 5 times a year. So hey, you have somebody, a dance partner.
Maybe, yeah, that'd be awesome. Andrei's a man. I love Andrei. He's such a good fighter. It would be an honor to fight him.
Good stuff. Sign me up. You have a living legend in Arlovski on the card, and then you have Darren, who's also a vet. How excited were you just to get that contract? I know getting back in the cage is the priority, but it's Darren Elkins. You're gonna bleed and you're gonna fight.
Oh yeah, I was just ecstatic. I actually at first didn't get too excited because I thought last year initially it was going to be Darren Elkins before I fought Pat. That's what they were talking about, and I was 100% in. And I'm not sure what happened on his end. I just heard that the date didn't work for him, so then they threw Pat. So I took that fight, but when I heard it again, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get too excited until I got that paperwork signed and secured. And as soon as I did, man, I was just ecstatic. I've been so happy and thankful all camp just to be able to be here doing what I'm doing and getting to fight a guy that, is a legend of the sport that I've looked up to, that I'm a fan of, most of the time when Darren's fighting, I'm rooting for Darren. It's not going to be this weekend, but, I wish him the best because he's an animal, man. He's done things that I would dream to do.
Lastly, for me, I know your team has broken it down. I know you've seen tape. Respectfully, what are your advantages, or where do you see you got that edge?
I think my striking is definitely better than his. I think his space wrestling is better than mine. I think our jiu-jitsu, we're going to see. I think I'm actually better on the cage than him and better in the clinch than him. Just got to be careful not to rush too much and give him my hips and let him get on top of me, because I really think if either of us get on top of each other, we're both going to have to work real hard to get out of it.
All right. Thank you, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Sweet.
What's up? Hey.
Jared, back at lightweight, I guess is this permanent? I mean, can you just call it now? Say this is your division forever?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna let me go back down. So.
So it's not even your choice that it's.
No, it's not my choice. It's all right though.
How much different is it for you though? Like, I mean, is it just a matter of like fight week cutting, or is it like is your whole life easier, or?
Oh yeah, my whole life is definitely easier, more enjoyable. But you know, I'm healthier. I get injured less, and you know, I think just overall, genuine quality of life is just better. You know.
So with all that said, you know, you're saying like it wasn't your choice. Do you think the competitor in you or the stubborn fighter in you would still go down to 45 if they would let you, even though you just said it's far better life for me?
I mean, I think about it sometimes, but do I want to be bigger or do I want to be better? You know, so the guys at 55 I'm always the smaller guy. Whether it's, you know, I might not be the shortest guy, but I'm always, you know, length, my arms, and, you know, they're usually bigger than me. But it is what it is, man. You know, there's a lot of really great champions that were considered small. So, what's the difference?
Did you feel a strength difference in the last fight?
Joe is a large boy, man, I should say. And everyone, you know, when I got home was like, man, he looked so much bigger than you. And when I watched the fight, I was like, yeah, he definitely was bigger than me. But I won, and you know, I think there's, you know, pros and cons. Like, guys slow down when they're bigger than me, and, you know, I think I could fit into certain spots a little better and move a little better. And I feel better smaller. I feel like I'm faster and move better on my feet and cardio-wise. So, like, you know, I got to take what I can, you know.
Very nice. All right, well, your second matchup, Grant Dawson. It's funny, right? Because you probably weren't like scouting this division, or do you watch everything, or were you not really? I mean, are these like new names to you?
No, I watch everything. I watch every fight. Yeah.
So when you got this name, I mean, I guess familiar already. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I was happy because, you know, I was supposed to fight Alves, who is 1-1. This is my 10th UFC fight, and no one knows him, and he's dangerous. So it's like, I was kind of like, all right, like, I guess I'll have to take it. But there's way more reward when I beat Grant. So, you know, he's 5-0-1, and, you know, I think that it should, or getting close to top 15 after I win.
What'd you make of his last fight, right? Because great performance until it wasn't, right? So which side do you look at?
I mean, you know, my goal is to always break people in my fights anyways. So when I saw that, you know, this was obviously before I got the matchup. I was like, oh, wow, like, Grant kind of got tired there. Rick is also really good, though, Rick Clinton. He's, you know, he might not be the most well-known guy, but he's a savvy, crafty veteran. And he's long and tall. So, you know, he made it difficult for Grant in some spots, and I guess it tired him out a little bit. But, you know, I'm going to have to use that to my advantage.
He's gone through a camp switch. I mean, one camp, is that enough? Like, you've watched this guy. Can he be a different fighter in one camp at a new place, or do you just go, no, I kind of know who he is?
I don't think that you'll change all that much in 2 months or whatever, 3 months, however long he's been down there. But he could definitely learn some new tricks. You know, little things make a big difference. But I don't expect him to be completely different, especially under the lights. You always tend to revert back to your instincts, and, you know, like, in order to, you always revert to like 2 or 3 things, you know, and then it takes months and years of drilling other things, and in your subconscious, those 2 or 3 things will fall out, and without you even realizing, the new things you're learning are coming into play. But it takes lots and lots and lots of repetitive drilling and drilling and drilling. So maybe he did drill for, you know, an hour every day for the last 3 months. But, you know, it takes years, so see what happens.
You said it, I mean, a recognizable name here, maybe borderline top 15. I mean, I know you're kind of just easing your way into the division, but you win here. Do you start calling out some names and trying to make some matchups, or do you?
Man, I haven't even looked at. I don't know the order of the top. I mean, I know the top guys, but, you know, I'm not looking past Grant, you know, and, you know, I don't want to fight backwards, but I'm just going to see what happens. And, you know, I'm going to say, like, oh, I think I'm ready for a top 15. You know, I'm not going to call anyone's name out, though, because I haven't even looked. So, yeah.
Last thing for me, you know, obviously win is important here, but is it important to you to get a finish? I mean, I know if there's been a criticism, it's been, it's always decisions. Does that matter to you, or is a win a win?
A win's a win, but I definitely want a, you know, spectacular performance. I've been criticized, you know, for just winning fights, which, I don't know, to me, a win is a win, but, you know, if I want to make a statement and get a top 15, then I should, you know, I'm looking for the finish, so.
After your last fight, you mentioned that.
I mean, I'm always preparing to go 3 rounds, yes, but I don't want to go 3 rounds every time. I would like to get in and out of there. It's just the way, you know, the cookies crumbled for me. I haven't had a finish since my debut, my UFC debut. But before that, I was finishing guys, you know, and then the level of competition goes up. And, you know, there was also a point where I was on a 2-fight losing streak, and I was like, all right, I just have to win this. I just got to win to keep my job, you know, and, you know, I had to treat it as a business for a little bit instead of trying to treat it as an entertainment spectacle for the fans and stuff. Like, I needed to keep my job, so. But on a 3-fight winning streak, and I've gained a lot of experience, I'm ready to show out.
Your last loss was the current lightweight champion, Charles Oliveira. Back when you fought him, did you feel like he was championship material?
I mean, he was on a 6-fight winning streak. I think all finishes before me. So I knew he was really, really good. And he also had a boatload of experience before that. But when I lost, we were in the hotel room, and my wife was like, he's going to be the champion. And then we watched him. I think he fought Kevin, Lee, and then he fought Ferguson, and then so on and so on. And look where he's at. So it's almost, that loss aged super well for me. It's like, oh, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. His last loss is to the champion. Like almost sounds good, you know? So, but yeah, he's obviously championship material.
Thank you.
That's it? All right, thanks.
Darren, I know a heartbreaking one for you the last time out. I guess talk to me about kind of, you know, I guess that result, what you think maybe went wrong there.
You know, Cub's a dangerous guy. He's always got a lot of knockout power. I knew he could catch me like that. It was one of those things, you take a fight against Cub, you know he could catch you. And I just left my defense down for a second. I stood still. I was moving really well. I stopped for a second. I dropped my hand a little bit, and he exploded. It was fast. So just, you know, keep my head moving, keep my hands up, just try to work my defense a little bit more has been kind of a goal now.
Is there any part of you that was like, come on, man, I was just getting started. Have you never watched a Darren Elkins fight before?
Not really. I mean, you're right. I probably could have survived there, but I'm not gonna argue with the stoppage. It probably could have went. Or maybe I'd come back. You know, I'm a walking zombie over here, but it's not a horrible stoppage. I mean, he stopped it. I kind of fell. I face planted almost. I caught myself with my hands, but I was obviously rocked pretty hard. So I thought it was a pretty good stoppage.
Yeah, fair enough. So talk about like in between fights. Like you said, what you work on. I mean, is it just refining? Because I wonder at this stage in your career. I mean, can you change? Like, it's like, hey, what if we tried an Imanari roll next time, or so, you know what I mean? Would you change, or is it just let's tidy up the little things that we have?
No, I find it the part that I still love about the game is you can add different things and go from one thing to another game. I mean, if you looked at my career from the beginning, the things I've done there to what I do now is totally different. It's a learning process. You keep on learning, and if I think when you stop learning, you're pretty much done fighting. So I enjoy learning new things, working on different things, and seeing what I can do with myself.
Match up with Tristan Connelly here. One that excites you? I mean, it seems like stylistically, you guys are going to go do what you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, he fights a lot like me. He's going to come forward. He's not afraid to stand up. He's not afraid to grapple. He pushes a hard pace. Like I said, he fights a lot like me. When I watch him, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a fun one. And maybe possibly like a fire night type of thing. If not, I'm fine with that too.
I was going to say, do you go into fights thinking, I bet we could get fight of the night? Because normally that means it's back and forth. You probably got rocked a little.
Nah, I try not to go into the fight of the night. Now, performance of the night now, that's when I'm like, yeah, I can kind of shoot for performance of the night. But fight of the night, that's when it's like, if it happens, it happens. But I never want to shoot for it.
Yeah. Last thing for me, I guess talk to me about the goals at this point in your career, right? Because we know anytime you're on the card, it's going to be an exciting fight. So what do you see as kind of the guiding goal or the things that you're trying to accomplish at this point?
I own quite a few of the featherweight records. Second most wins, most takedowns, second striking. I'm just trying to up my numbers and maybe break a few more records before I'm done. That's something I've been pushing for and been thinking about a lot lately. That I think I got a couple more years left. I always say I don't want to make it to 40, so I'll be 38 May 16th. So I got a couple more years. That's what I'm shooting for, and let's really up those records.
You're the slight betting favorite in this fight. Is that the kind of thing you pay attention to at all whatsoever?
Nah, I never paid attention to that my whole entire life. I usually like it when I'm the underdog. I have the most wins as the underdog, so that's nothing I really cared about, Thank
you.
Yep. Good. All right, thanks, guys.
Krzysztof, it's a very hard-fought victory last time out. I guess just how important was that for you after the loss previously to get a win?
Hello, what's up, everybody? The last fight for me was 2 fights between the Misha Cirkunov, between my body, because I was very, very terrible condition this time. I was sick. I was vomit for our camp. I broke my ribs for 4 weeks before the fight, and I still show up and I still win the fights. So this time I'm very confident about myself because I'm healthy, I'm ready, and I want to be here and win this fight.
With all you were going through, did anybody say to you, like, Krzysztof, don't fight, like, let's reschedule?
Yeah, my wife was the first person who said, no, don't go there, don't go, you can't fight. You can't even go to train good. But I said, no, I know who I am, I know I can fight and I can win with the Misha, and this is what I do.
Interesting. So in many ways, is that like one of your most, I guess, important wins, you know, to prove to yourself that even under bad circumstances, I can accomplish that?
This was like a fight who showed me who I am, and they showed me I'm strong, I'm very good, and I can be the best on the world, and I can beat everyone.
Nice. It does bring you 4-1 in your last 5 fights, but I don't feel like people talk about you a lot as a contender. Do you feel like you get disrespected, or there's a lack of respect for you?
I don't know. I think people have a less respect to me. But this fight I show them, and I make him respect me more.
I like it. 6 months, I think, between fights. Was that ideal for you to repair and get healthy, or?
No, I was ready to fight straight. I started training in January to fight February. I have even offered to fight Alex Pereira, but then he pulled up the fight with me. He chose the different opponent, so I just was waiting for another offer fight, and the fight is here right now.
Nice. What do you think about Gerald as an opponent? Obviously, he's on a nice little win streak right now. What do you think about him?
I think he's a very tough guy. He's a more jiu-jitsu guy, human blanket. I know it will be a hard fight. He fought before with the Polish people. He choked them both, and he choked also the Mahmoud Muradov, who was. They tried to make a fight with me like 2 or 3 times. He was injured, I was injured, and we never can fight. And I know he's a tough guy, but I was trained with the toughest guy like him, like Marcus Buchecha, Antonio Carlos Jr., or Johnny Eblin, or Dalton Rosta, with the super monsters American top team. So I doesn't care what he brings to Octagon. I'll be the big explosive there this weekend.
Knowing that his grappling is where he's best, is it a type of fight where you say, well, we're just going to keep it standing, or do you kind of want to go prove a point and be like, nah, you think you're good, I'll show you my grappling too?
We see what happens, but if he want to grapple, he need to first take me down, and everybody knows it's not easy, so if you want to try it, we see what happens.
I like it. Last thing for me, this would be another big win for you. Are you looking at names, opponents? I mean, are there fights that you want moving forward?
For now, I focus for this fight, but in the future, I want to fight with somebody from my ranking, or maybe run back with Uriah Hall. I was fighting him, I beat his ass all round, and he threw 1 punch and knocked me out. So this will be good to be back.
In the post-fight presser of your last fight, you mentioned how you need to put on more of a pace and make it a faster fight. Is that something you're looking to do coming into this contest?
I just do this what I know the best. Before MMA career, I was a breakdancer, so I'll be moved smooth in this fight.
I was actually going to ask you about that. You got really good footwork, and I was going to ask, is that directly attributed to the breakdancing background?
Yeah, I think this helped me a lot because I'm different like everybody. I don't train boxing or wrestling when I was kids. I was breakdancer, so that's why it's a little harder to take me down, a little harder to control me in the octagon, because I can move wherever I want and when I want.
understanding timing and rhythm. Another thing, it was in 2015 that you were supposed to fight Derek Brunson. That fight fell apart, or it didn't go together. And you were supposed to fight Edmund Shabazian in 2019, another fight that didn't go together. Do you have any interest? Obviously, you have a task ahead of you Saturday night, but do you have any interest in either of those guys in the future?
I think that Derek Brunson, he was saying he want to fight last more fight and he wanted retirement. So I'm ready to fight him after this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.